Welcome to the STARS program, seniors taking active roles in society. And now, here's your host, ANITA FINLEY.
Colleen Haney is here with us in the studio, and she's given up time to be with some of her very fortunate patients. And I have to say it's a real treat and a pleasure to have Colleen here. She's been a friend, but she's been someone that I have seen work her magic. And I wanted to ask you a question before we talk about magic. When someone goes into your room, is the magic in the fragrance and what you have there? What is that?
It's all of the above. It really is a frequency. It's an energy. Everything is energy. So what I do as an energy therapist is to help create that energy for people, particularly in my room, in my space, that is a safe space, that is a container for them to really explore, to be, to see, more of what's inside them that wants to come out, that wants to be integrated, that wants to be made whole.
And how do you see that yourself to help other people to see it? Do you see it in them yourself to help bring it out?
You mean literally, do I energetically see? Yes, I do. I do see what is around about people. And it's really interesting. It shows up for me in many different ways. I don't claim to be a psychic, but everybody has psychic abilities. And being with clients for, all these years now, it's very easy to see the kinds of things that literally want to pop out in the energy. I can be talking to a client in the chair and I'll see words across their head or a symbol across their body or parts of them pop out, really wanting to be seen.
I know a friend of mine who has seen you, and you helped her with her dog problem. She had a dog which she loved so dearly, and you were able to tell her what you felt the dog was saying to her.
Yes, the dog. Well, communication. I'm a communication specialist. I'm a speech-language pathologist by my training in the academic world. And so I've always been deeply connected to that whole sense of communication. And when I had the opportunity to begin to explore energy and realize it was actually our first form of communication in the womb as a spirit, as a being, our first level of communication is energy. And so it becomes pretty easy to drop down into that level of unconsciousness, which is really true consciousness, and to see what other beings, other species, want to present to us. That particular instance with the woman, the precious dog was giving me a life review, and I was seeing in my head the pictures of these scenes that the two of them had together. It was really remarkable.
Wow, that is really a wonderful thing that you have. And I wanted to just share that Stephen Lewis, who has been on this radio show, for years, of course, is now passed on, but someone that Colleen Haney and I both have known, and she's worked with him. And so, but I want to get back to something that you said before we started. Yes, we are in a very, and he said this before on my show a lot. He'd say, we're going to be experiencing something we've not experienced before. And why don't you go into that a little bit?
I will go into that, but I will also say that this is an incredible time in humanity. Because we are changing our species of the human being that we have been. And if you look through history, man has been many different forms of the species. And so now we are evolving beyond Homo sapiens to Homo sapiens universalis, to a universal being, a universal soul. And so in that transformation, it's a birth, it's a death to what we are and a rebirth. And in that whole process, as with anything, is total chaos. And if you know from the ancient symbols, that symbol for chaos is also opportunity. So we're in a great time of opportunity. And with that, this is also a time where many souls' contracts are up, which means they're leaving the planet, of which Stephen has done. So many people are leaving the planet. Their frequency isn't supported here by this change. And so literally the soul's agreement is finished, complete, and they leave. They leave by switching their energy, evolving in the energy consciousness. And so those kinds of things are happening right now. This is also a great time for the breakup of everything that we believed, everything that we've held as solid. And it's all changing. And so it is a time of great confusion, also great mind-blowing opportunities of the expansion of who we are, as well as the change in the physical body. So there are a lot more ailments, physical problems, diseases, aches and pains, because simply the physical body is also morphing into a higher vibration. Excuse me, into literally a higher vibration.
This is something that we don't hear very often.
No,
I don't think I have
probably
heard
not.
this from anyone. And
Oh, you
I
haven't?
speak to a lot of people, and I, of course, I haven't been doing things on the web, and maybe there are people, some people who are expert at this, but this is a great pleasure for us to have you sharing
you.
this.
Thank
I
you.
think a lot of people are disappointed with what's going on in society, and they don't know. Some people turn to religion, they turn to different things to get answers, but the way that you're speaking about this,
It's evolution.
very clear.
It's
for me.
evolution. And if you look back, one of my mentors is Barbara Marx Hubbard, who's one of the world leading evolutionists. And she has traced it back to even how amoeba, have evolved. And there was a period of time where they were doing things the way they always did it. And they were multiplying and they were dying because nothing else was there to help support them. And photosynthesis was developed in a spark, in an instant. And that's the time that we're in. We're in that wonderful creative pot that there is going to be an instant where things are going to totally change.
We have to get you onto TED Talk. I think this is a TED Talk. This is absolutely fascinating. I hadn't expected this today, but I'm so glad that you were prepared. And I wasn't, because there's so much about you that I wanted to share with
thank
everyone. But this is very, very important for us. So
Yeah, it's a fascinating time and a very, very important time. It's an extremely important time for us to be connected to all that we are, because what we're seeing out in the world, the chaos, the division, the riots, the killing, that's all a symbol of what's inside that's breaking up, wanting to be transformed. And so it's really important that we all get in touch with ourselves deeply in our consciousness, because there's a lot of unconsciousness rolling around in all of us. And the way that I do that is through the body, to bring you down through the body, because the body is total wisdom. The body is made up of trillions of cells that are alive, that are energy, that are communicating with everything, divine universe as well. And it's all right here as our sacred tool that we have to be here in the world.
And so what should people... So, of course, if you want to pursue this, I suggest that you go and see Colleen. I'm going to give you a phone number that you can make an appointment. It will be probably one of the highlights of your entire life if you will go and just meet with her. Let her put you into her spell. That's what I'm going to call it. Into her spell.
Into my space. into
your
my
space,
energetic space.
Energetic space. Even if it's just for one time, you will not forget it. And the phone number to call is 561-212-6862. Again, that's 212-6862. Or you can always get her online at Colleen Haney, it's HANEY.com.
Two L's and two E's, because Colleen is spelled differently for different people.
Oh, that's right. 2 L's and 2 E's.
Yeah,
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
So they could come for an appointment. I have women's groups that meet once a month. I have retreats coming up in August. And in fact, I have one spot left in the 2 retreats. One is a 3-day, one is a 4-day.
And what does that consist of?
It's a women's retreat at Marco Island. So everything is provided. We're right on the beach. We're deep in nature. There are nature walks. There's meditation. There's energy exercises. There's essential oils. And the theme is really, again, very appropriate to what's going on. It's about seeing the queen in me and embracing that queen archetype, because that queen archetype is the one that embraces the divine feminine, which means great maturity, great wisdom, extreme care for herself so that she can give and be in the world.
And so these retreats, I'm sure you love them because you get to be there. I'm sure you're doing it.
I do.
Yes.
Yes.
And so that's a good thing for people to do. Unfortunately, my life at this moment doesn't allow that for me, but I could see the beauty in it. And
there's tremendous beauty and growth
Yes.
and just, again, the raising of the frequency of having that opportunity. But everybody should have a moment of retreat throughout the day. I literally take a whole month for myself, and that's evolved over the years because I would go away for 3 days, and then I would want 5 days, and then I would want 7 days, and I could just feel my soul wanting more and more of that quiet time to pull away from the world and really make a nice, strong connection to the truth, because what we're in right now is not the truth. It's the perceived reality that is breaking up. So the truth can begin to come through more and more and more.
So, Colleen, how old were you when you started experiencing these very unusual
I think I probably was really very, very young because I used to see things and pretend that they were my pretend things, but they probably were energies that I was seeing as a child. And I grew up, in a religious home in parochial schools, so I was steeped, in that energy of the spiritual from a very, very early age. So I pursued a normal, quote, life. However, I did want to go to a religious vocation, and my parents thought I was way too young, so they made me kind of do the normal thing. And so I did, and I graduated from college, and I got married, and I did all the normal kinds of things. But there was still a soul calling, and we all have a soul calling. It's just, do we spend that time? And that's one of the things that a retreat is also about. It allows us to really hear so much more of the truth that wants to come through. There's so much beautiful truth that we're missing on a daily, moment-by-moment basis.
And so if someone doesn't go on one of your retreats, what do you suggest that they do to find that moment in their busy life?
Well, we have women's groups. We have a variety of different activities. We have classes at my center. But one of the ways is to be able to calm down triple warmer, which is an energy system in the body that is the stress. It's the fight or flight or freeze. And everybody is in that mode right now because there is chaos and there's panic, and you can feel it. You can just feel it all around that the world is in an uproar right now. And so that triggers that meridian, which is the fear meridian. And so one of the things that I like to suggest is to help people learn how to turn that down, turn it off, because it leads to adrenal fatigue, burnout, and lots of symptoms, the breakdown of the immune system, and lots of other issues. So learning how to be with triple warmer, learning how to listen to your body, learning how to meditate. And I say that I'm not a huge fan of meditation as it's taught per se, because most people that when I see them meditate, they take their energy out of their body and go above. And we are called to be here right now in this world. We're the instruments of the bridge between heaven and earth, the energies of the divine masculine and the divine feminine. And so our physical bodies, our presence here in the world is very, very, very important. And to recognize our body as this amazing transformer that has the ability to pull down, to pull up, and then beam out. That's pretty amazing.
It is, and that's why I believe that you're so important in this, because you can help people know how to do this. Because your words are very sophisticated, and a typical person would not have any idea what to do about it.
Yeah.
So if they could just take one of your courses, or if they could just have a consultation with you.
Or to learn how to breathe, just really start tuning into your breath and to calm the mind, because the mind is of the ego. It's not of the soul. It's not of the truth of our being. And everybody that comes in, their minds are just chattering 100 miles an hour with all these thoughts. The other thing is we're also becoming more sensitive. So not only are we having our own thoughts, we're picking up the thoughts and the feelings and the emotions that are all around. So having the opportunity to learn how to separate yourself from that, to calm the mind, to be in the body, and to focus on the breath, and to allow the body to reveal to you the information that's there.
And so people who and I really attribute a lot of this, as much as I love the internet, our world is so electronic. I mean, from the grandchildren, everybody has got to be on their cell phone. They've got to be watching for messages. I mean, till 2 a.m. And I'm very guilty of this. It's I was thinking about someone just passed away, and I remember going. It was my graphic designer's husband, and I remember before we had the marvelous way to put a magazine together, I used to have to sit at her home, and of course they were both smoking like crazy. He did just die from cancer, but it's a easier world in some ways.
No, it's a much more difficult world. A much more difficult world. Yeah.
Well,
and the electronics, what you're talking about, because everything outside is really inside. This whole realm of electronics is about us becoming electric. We are electrical beings. And so this desire to have this connection is really an outward sign of our desire to connect to the oneness. The internet, and I think it was Henry Nouwen or Thomas Merton, either one of those mystics, that said the internet was actually the beginning. It was the symbolism of our great desire as souls to be connected together, to have that instant communication. And our evolution does involve telepathy.
Interesting. Yeah. I can see why you're saying that. Because we do. One thing it has been great about is that we are communicating with people we haven't communicated with for a long time, maybe for a very long time. And now everybody's on top of everything. But I think they've carried it way too far. That's the problem with Facebook and all. Everything has to be somewhere, and I don't agree with that. I mean,
but that is again part of everything coming out. Literally, on Facebook, everything is out. And that's part of this energy that wants to come out. It's almost like we're turning inside out to come right back again.
That really makes sense. I love to talk to you because you really have turned into be a philosopher.
I guess so. That's what it sounds like today.
It sounds like you're a philosopher because you do understand everything being energy, and we know that.
And there's so much more of a bigger picture, and we're being called to see with bigger eyes.
All right. So is there going to be a happy ending to this?
Yes, there is a happy ending.
I had to ask you. You're a happy person. I knew there had to be a happy ending.
Well, it's sort of like the birth, when a woman's in labor,
It's painful, right?
Right. Is she screaming? Is there pain? Are there all kind of sounds and energies? Absolutely. Is it ugly? Is it messy? Yes. Until that process comes out, and it's not a quick process. It is a process. And then once it comes out, you have this baby that you have to take care of. It doesn't come out an adult.
Will we know that?
Will we know that?
Will we know when it comes out?
Yes, it's coming out. It's coming out. It is evolving. People are popping in very interesting, different ways. Yes,
I haven't been as patient as you're talking about because I've been upset with, I'm not upset to the fact it changes my life, but inside it is a stressful feeling when things are going outrageously bad in a way. Of course, it's all a matter of your own mindset and what you think, but I was really wondering where it was all going to go until I finally decided what will be, will be. I really have come to that as though stop worrying about everything. It's just going to happen. In fact, I learned a lot of that from Bill because when I yell at the TV, he says, they're not hearing you. Why don't you just relax? And I said, okay, let's not watch the politics anymore. Let's just go watch some fun movies to just get away from that.
Well, a lot of it has to do with what energy are we holding because the end result will be what we're holding. And so if we're continuing to hold the chaos, the confusion, if we see with small eyes about what's here, because nothing is ever right what it is. Everything always has a bigger meaning. Everything is always in evolution. So if you see an instance or a riot or a murder right here, that's only a small, small portion of the whole big picture. And so that's what we're asked to see. That's what the divine feminine represents. She's extremely patient. She's extremely compassionate. She knows that everything is evolution. She knows that everything going on right now is part of the whole process of leading us to more and more and more.
I have seen some documentaries lately that took us back into the 1800s. And I'm not a historical, guru. I don't know a lot of things. I mean, I've heard of people and heard of things that happen, but watching that, this is not unusual. I mean, this is really not. And so it made me have more peace and say, okay.
It is. It's the transition.
Yeah,
it's the time in between.
For a long time, hasn't it?
Yes.
It just is more forceful now because of the internet and things that make everything so momentary.
Well, there was a period of time, and I've heard it explained as about a 15-year period where we've actually been in the pressure cooker. And so we're on our way out of the pressure cooker. So we're about 7 years in. And so we're on our way out. But again, on the way out could be just as messy as, coming to that final point. You might also have noticed that time has sped up. Do you notice how fast everything goes? We're literally in a time warp. So things are much faster. The time is going much, much faster, and that'll calm down and slow down again when we come to this other end of the cycle.
I'm going to tell that to Bill when he says, where are you? It's almost 7 o'clock, and I'm still riding to get home, and we have dinner at 8 now, where we used to have dinner more at 7 or 6:30. So I now have an answer. Bill, we're in a time warp.
Oh, that's right. Exactly.
No, it is true. And I think a lot of us take on way too much, and what you've said is just sit back.
The retreat. Take a personal retreat. Decide. Make a choice, because this is also a very important piece that we have choices. Earth is a planet of choices, and we're making choices moment by moment, whether we realize it or not. And so to become more conscious of our priorities, your choices, what are you doing? What are you choosing to do? What you think you have to do? And to, hold that energy of the truth, hold that energy of the vibration that you want to send out into the world.
That's great. I like that. The choices. And that's really good for people. Many of us, as you are, we always have things pushing us. And what do we accept and what we don't, just like coming here. I know you have a lot of other things to do, but I think this is important. You are spreading out something that, as I said, I haven't heard, and I know that our listeners will be really, it will be a gain for them to hear this. And for no other reason, it's going to be very good for me, because I live a lot of what you've been expressing.
I know you do, yes.
And this is nice, even though I'm very, happy about everything, but it is too much for us. That's what I say. How do we stop? And it's interesting. We now happen to be living, we sold our house and we're living on the Intercoastal, and we have a balcony. And I do want to have dinner out on that balcony a lot. And I've said that, and it's a little hot, but I said, Bill, let's just go on the balcony and have dinner. And it does put you in a very different plane. When you're out there and there's nothing there but just looking out the Intercoastal, some boats going by and blue sky and the early moon comes out. That's what you're really talking about.
That's the retreat, right? Yeah. Find the retreat that you can have every single day, even if it's 5 minutes, even if it's 2 minutes. What is that thing that allows you to slow down, to get connected, to see beauty? Because there is beauty in everything.
Do you think it's funny that I mentioned to you that my dog is a retreat? My other dog, and now that when I sit with that dog and pet that dog, it's a very powerful for me. Have you ever heard of that?
A dog, sometimes painting, doing the hobby that you love. Those are those times that take us to that space where we're more than just the physical body. We're more than the activities that we have to do. We're more than the role of mother, sister, wife.
Well, sharing yourself with others is very, very important. I know you do that. Besides, you are a professional, but I think there's more to you than that profession. I think you take out a lot of your own energy. Besides the energy you're supposed to put out, I think you probably take some of your own, too, which is squeezing it.
And I don't know if squeezing it's the right word. I know that I couldn't do what I do if I didn't really take care of myself. I couldn't do what I do if I didn't have the retreats. I couldn't do what I do if I didn't have the quiet alone time. I couldn't do what I do if I didn't say no to a lot of things.
And what do you do in your quiet alone times?
I connect. I be. The word I be. I don't do. I be. I spend a lot of quiet time actually in bed, not sleeping, but just being, receiving. I will actually, when I do my retreats, one of the things I do besides, walk in nature, go to the beach, meditate, pray, journal, is I'll lie in bed, flat with my arms out and set the intention just to receive. My mind goes quiet and I just fill up.
Okay, everybody, this is good. Lie in bed,
right.
Put your arms out
right.
and receive.
Palms up. Mm-hmm.
Palms up.
Set the intention.
Set the intention
that you are here to receive.
Now, that's a wonderful
yes.
idea for everybody.
Yes.
So what do we call that?
What do we call it? Receiving. Divine feminine. The feminine energy is about receiving. It's not about doing.
Talk about the feminine. Why do you call it feminine energy?
Well, because there is a difference between masculine and feminine energy. They're two energies that come together to blend, to make everything what it is. It's the tension. It's the yin-yang symbol that you've seen. And that symbol, that energy, represents the tension to keep things in movement. It's a little push-pull. And so right now we're in a polarity, and that polarity is the masculine and the feminine. That polarity is the outward and the inward, and that's why it's so important for us to have that balance of the inward and the outward, so that we're able to hold the balance within ourselves of the masculine and feminine. The planet Earth is the divine feminine. She represents that energy that is inward, quiet, reflective, patient, strong. I do a workshop on the divine feminine, which is absolutely juicy, juicy, juicy. And the masculine is the outward. It's the doer. It's the one that wants to get things fixed. It's not very patient. It usually is the world that we're in right now.
Okay, so as soon as I get a chance, I'm going to go home. I'm going to receive. I'm going to lie in bed with my hands up, and I'm going to receive.
Right. And your mind has to be quiet, so it involves the breathing and turning your mind off.
All right. Yes. If that's possible, I will do that. Thank you. This has been
ANITA.
Just
it's always wonderful to be here with
and
you.
Electrifying, and I know people will be helped because of this.
Thank you. And thank you for doing what you do.
Oh, thank you for just being my friend. It's really important.